Hi, this is Professor Maas, and today we're going over week 3 of the course SSC 499, and we're going to talk about shift and collaborations. I hope you all had a good week, and if you have any questions, remember you can always email me, call me, text me, whatever it is. But I've surely enjoyed reading your discussion post and all the things you have to say and all the ideas you have and all the examples you share. It's been really, this is a good group of students, and I really appreciate all your feedback and how you reply to each other as well. So for this week, we have 2 course learning objectives. And the one is to compare the pre and post internet disruptions. And I already received several of your essays about that, about comparing the pre and post internet disruptions. And it sure brought back memories for me. I'm telling you, if I was to teach this class in 10 years or so, I couldn't have this assignment because the students wouldn't know what the pre-internet era was even like. But I think that for us who have lived in both eras, both before and after the internet, that we have a special appreciation for technology that the younger generation doesn't have. And I also think that we have a vision of what could happen because of what has already happened in our lives. The other course learning objective is to identify social impact of digital versus face-to-face socialization. And there is a difference between the face-to-face and digital communications and interactions and all of that. I know that my daughters are in their 20s and they would prefer to text mom than to pick up the phone and call me. So although lately they've been liking to do the video chats, and that has been really nice because during the COVID-19 pandemic, well, I live up here in Yucca Valley and they live in San Diego. So for many, many months, was it 2.5 months, I wasn't able to go down and see them. But now that things are opening up, I'm going to plan to go down next week and see my daughters, which will be very nice. But yeah, there is a difference between talking face to face and, conversing digitally. And I think the textbook really does open up some new insights to us about how our society has changed due to the digital technology that we have now. Some of the things that you compared in your essay about the pre and post internet era was how mail is different, phone calls, movies, how we track grades. Back when I first started to be a teacher, we had these little grade books that we'd put every single grade in a little box. And then we had to take a calculator at the end of the semester and add up all the scores and then divide by how many scores. And if something had a double score, we had to do the math for that. And so I really appreciate the grade reporting has really improved over the years. So that's been great. Calendar events, I will have to admit I'm old school, and so I still use a paper calendar as much as I've tried to use a digital one. I just seem to remember more if I have a paper calendar, and I have a paper planner and all that good stuff. So anyway, thank you for sharing your comparisons of the pre and post internet era. Here are some things that I put in the introduction, which I think most of you do read the introduction or the lecture portion of the chapter. And so I wanted to put this in. It's a quote. It says, "There are so many social concepts to consider as you read chapter 3. For example, science fiction writer William Gibson stated in 1984, when people use computers, a consensual hallucination could emerge." So I think that sometimes when we get, texting somebody or, exchanging videos or even just by ourselves, we kind of get into what we're working on the computer. We do have this we're in a different world. I think that what he meant was a consensual hallucination, that we are in that digital world with our digital friends. Now, whether that's good or bad, It's just a change of how things are. And I don't think we could go back to where they used to be, because so many people are, in the digital age, communicating digitally, and so forth. It says here, the problem with that is the actual reality of computers. Gibson later said that the space behind the computer screen has become enlarged and intersects with, even encompassing at times, the physical. So that he's talking about how the, not that what we do on the computer is not real, but that sometimes we get into this world of the digital world is separated from our real face-to-face world, and that they intersect, and that we have to realize that that is what's happening to us. And I think sometimes we don't think about that. We don't think about how we have a in-person image, and then we have a digital image of ourselves, and how that affects us and how it affects others. This chapter 3 concludes by addressing the intersection of the online and the offline. What is that intersection? Does it exist? And are there advantages or disadvantages of separating the two? So that's really something to think about, how your online life intersects with your real life, and is there an intersection there, or are they totally separate? That's something to think about. Here's discussion 1 for week 3. It said, do you think that the increase in digital spaces, and digital spaces we're referring to social media platforms, websites, chat areas, discussion boards, online games, workspaces, classes, conferences, hangouts, email and text messages. Do you think the increase of these items has brought people closer together or encouraged isolation among people? And there's many articles that have been written about how, even though there seems to be a lot of friends out there, like say if you're on Facebook, my brother has just topped at, I think, 5,000 friends. I think he said that was the limit for somebody who's just a regular person, and like not a movie star or a politician or whatever. So he got up to 5,000 friends, and they're not all people that he really knows. And is he really, has he really been brought closer to those people? Or, it's kind of something to think about, because I think that the ones that we should be closest to are our family and close friends. And yet when you go into Facebook and you try to get as many friends as you can, there's somewhat of a problem with that, because you have to think of the quality of your friendship, not only the quantity of your friends. Now for discussion 2, here is the prompt. It says, perceived proximity refers to the nearness or presence others sense when digitally communicating across distances. Do you believe that group projects and group problem solving can be accomplished without perceived proximity? Provide a few examples and describe the process. Well, I just talked to another student in one of my sections, and he is a software developer, and most of not most, but part of the company is in Los Angeles, and they develop software, all different kinds of software. They also have 20 people in their company that work in India, and they do the coding and make sure the program works right and all those kinds of things. Well, the student in my class, his job is to review everything they do in India, make sure the code works, make sure everything's right, before they integrate it with the coding and things, that the design that has been done in America. So they have to communicate, thousands of miles away. Now, everyone speaks English, which is good, but he was telling me that with the heavy Indian accent, sometimes it's hard to figure out what exactly they're talking about, especially when you're enunciating, letters and semicolons and all kinds of things that go into code. And it's also goes the other way around, that the people in India are used to talking to people in their country, and so when they talk to somebody from the United States, well, we have a heavy accent, and it's hard for them to understand what we're saying. So the is there perceived proximity? I would say yes, there is, and they can problem solve and things like that. But you have to be sure that you encounter those barriers and have solutions for them. So one of the things is, when you're talking with someone on a webinar, you can put on the closed caption or record it and then put on the closed caption, whatever it is, so that you can actually see exactly what the person was meaning to say as they're working together on this software development project. I'm sure you all had some kind of a project, especially being an online student here at the United States University, that you've had to work with other people, and maybe you lived in San Diego and somebody else lived in Florida or whatever, and you needed to communicate with them. Well, my suggestion is texting is fine, emails are fine, but there's nothing that can replace talking to somebody and kind of being able to have that instant interaction with a person. So that's just my opinion, and I'm curious to read your opinion on perceived proximity. So proximity is how close or far you feel from somebody, and perceived is how you think in your mind about that closeness. I think that's all the slides that I have. Yes, that is the end. So let me stop sharing here. And I just want to thank you for all your wonderful posts that you've been posting, and as for the great start you've gotten with this class. This is one of my favorite courses to teach because it's so relevant to what we are experiencing in our lives. And especially as the COVID-19 pandemic has come, there has been so many more people who have gotten on Zoom, video chat, and have communicated digitally than there ever has been before, which is a good thing. It's a good thing that, for example, all my cousins live in Minnesota, but yet with all the technology, I can, dial up their number and have a video chat with them anytime. And it's really a nice thing to be able to do and to stay close to your family when you're not able to visit your family because of the pandemic. I've also noticed that a lot of technology has been used on TV. If you watch any of the news broadcasts, you find out that the news broadcasters are broadcasting from home, but they work so seamlessly with the news broadcasters that are in the studio that it's just amazing how they can do that, go from weather and then go from entertainment or whatever they do. And there's this perceived proximity. They used to work as a team in the news studio, and now many of them work from home, and they still put on a fantastic news broadcast, even though they're not even close to each other. They're miles away, communicating digitally. So anyway, that's all that I have for this week. I just wanted to thank you for doing such a great job, and I really enjoy this class. If you have any questions, please email me, text me, give me a call, and I'm here to help. All right? So we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.